Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magazine Centre, here today to talk about Saturn Retrograde for 2017, which starts on the 5th of April and finishes on the 25th of August. Now, Saturn is the planet of things like obstacles, restrictions, limitations. It's also the lord of time and karma. So Saturn is the planet responsible for making sure that what we're doing is actually aligned with divine laws. Because if we're not aligned with divine laws in terms of our actions and the divine order of the wider plan, then we will inevitably face some degree of karma, because we're not operating aligned with the spiritual laws of the universe, which are built into the very fabric of it, and they're immutable and transcend all laws that humanity itself has written down. Now, with Saturn retrograde, this is akin to the stage of the cycle of a butterfly when it goes into the chrysalis. So, a significant part of our life suddenly gets deactivated, if you like, or it goes into a state of inertia. And the whole point is, it's like this mind built a chrysalis around the area of our mind that Saturn is retrograding through, in order to make sure that no external influence can touch that part of our mind whilst it is being significantly reviewed, to make sure that the beliefs, attitudes held in that part of the mind are actually aligned with who we are and are not holding us back, they're not outmoded, they're not limiting. Now, the key thing to note is this retrograde starts on the galactic centre. For those of you who don't know what the term is, the galactic centre is basically the point of the zodiac that's aligned with the centre of the Milky Way galaxy, and where a vast amount of cosmic energy is always pouring outwards towards us. So it's a sensitive part of the chart, and it's a bit like the central sun to our sun. It's a sun that our sun is constantly orbiting around as we're travelling around the Milky Way as part of the solar system. And whenever a key planet aligns with this particular sensitive spot in the sky, its energies get amplified to some extent, and it usually triggers a massive event collectively. Now, Sagittarius is things like truth, freedom, and quest for meaning, understanding who we are in the wider scheme of things, and it's our worldview. And all of these things link together through belief systems that we develop, either the ones that we've inhabited or the ones that we've taken in off our parents and society around us, or the ones that we've constructed based on our personal experience. Now, healthy beliefs are obviously ones that are guided by personal experience, especially if they're empowering ones. So, by this I mean, if we believe that we can achieve something and we actually set out and do it, then we get some kind of proof that reinforces this belief. So like self-efficacy, we believe that we can do it. And it also looks at our religious beliefs and how we view everything else around us. Now, with Saturn transiting through this part of the sky, and has been for the past almost 2.5 years, Saturn is really asking us to seriously look at the beliefs that we hold, because Sagittarius is, along with Capricorn, is one of the signs of the status quo. Sagittarius kind of dealing with the law, philosophy, religious beliefs, general culture and ethics of the society, whilst Capricorn deals with its institutions. So now that Saturn is going through Sagittarius, as it has been for a while now, it's looking at our relationship with these institutions, but also with these general themes in life, and are we actually prepared to take responsibility for our own beliefs and look at what do we personally believe, as opposed to just spouting off beliefs that we've heard another person say, and we think that's what we believe, but may not necessarily believe that as such. So, because one of the problems that beliefs can have is that it can implement a glass ceiling effect, if you like. So we all have the capacity to tap into higher energy, our higher self, God, the universe, universal consciousness, divinity, call it what you like. we all have an innate ability to tap into this, but we've all been conditioned to some extent that we can't, and we have to get rid of all this conditioning. Now, another issue to bear in mind though is that whenever we do start choosing our beliefs, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, because we're no longer just blindly following the group, where we just expect the group to be responsible for us, and we don't take any personal responsibility for our actions. If we're to become truly empowered, Saturn demands that we actually take responsibility for each part of our life. So every time he transits through a different sign, he starts emphasizing a new theme that we collectively have to take responsibility for. But how many people actually choose to embrace the process and take responsibility? Probably not that many, if we look at how many things seem to be going on around us and no one is actually taking active responsibility for themselves. It's always blame them, blame that, blame this. So it's always a blame game. It's not actually taking responsibility. So at the moment, may seem a bit harsh, but not many people seem to manifest a higher level of Saturn. And because with Saturn, he tests us to the limit. But if we actually embrace the process and accept the tests, and we actually make an effort to take responsibility for ourselves, to own who we are, and to stop giving away all authority to everything external to us, like institutions, people in place of power, and we actually start looking to ourselves for our inner authority, which is based on a connection with divinity, then we can really start to empower ourselves. If we're not even prepared to question our belief systems because we think they're right and we haven't bothered to test them and see if they actually are in our high good, then there's only so far we can really go there. Now, Saturn is on the galactic centre of Sagittarius for almost the entire month, and at this point we really need to look at what vision do we want to acquire, because we can expect a whole new transformation to happen worldwide throughout the status quo as the old paradigm is starting to break down. And with Saturn passing over this point, he's really saying, if you want to be part of a new empowered paradigm, then you're going to have to take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your thoughts, your beliefs, your words, your actions and your choices. And let's face it, it's not easy to do that initially if we've never been taught how to take personal responsibility for ourselves, but it is something that can be developed if we're prepared to embrace the process and face up to where our actions not aligned with higher laws, where are we acting out of desire for power or control, where have we forgotten how to act from a place of love and we just do everything out of fear and worry about punishment. Because at the end of the day, we shouldn't need punishment to motivate us to do something that's good. It should be something that we feel motivated to do anyway, because it just feels right, and we know in our hearts that what we're doing is a positive thing, will help other people, and we will ultimately benefit in the long run because we're actually aligned with universal laws. But unfortunately, we seem to be living in a time where the only thing governing people's search is fear of punishment, and that's the way things are. There's something seriously wrong there, because if we can't treat each other with respect without having to have rules written into law by people in power, and some of these laws don't actually benefit people anyway. They might help a certain small group, but they don't help us collectively. So we really do need to look inside ourselves, look at our beliefs, look at our truth. What vision are we getting from Sagittarius that we want to manifest? And are we prepared to take responsibility for that vision and make it happen in a way that's aligned with karmic laws, so we do not just tie ourselves up with chains of karma? Because if we don't heed the lessons of Saturn, then karma is the end result of it. And just to be clear, karma is not a punitive measure, it's just a corrective device built into everything to show us if we do something wrong, something else will happen that's on a similar vein to show us what it feels like to do that action, to motivate us to take a better, more loving action in the future. But if we're not prepared to take responsibility, if we keep thinking we can just carry on doing things where they are, then it just adds more and more karma to collective karma that humanity is already facing, right at a time when really we need to be looking to shed our karma, stop taking actions which will generate karma, and just face the stuff that we've already produced for ourselves through actions which weren't wise in the past. Doesn't necessarily mean that our motivations at the time were bad, but the choice of action may not have been the wise one to use at the time. But if we actually face the consequence of what happened, we can actually learn and become a lot wiser for it. Saturn does bring wisdom in the long run, but you have to go through his trials first in order to see whether you can take responsibility for who you are, take responsibility for your actions, and take responsibility for your choices, to make sure that the choices that we've made are actually in our higher good and not just fulfilling an immediate gratification. Because Saturn is all about maturity. He's the maturing force, and something that only manifests over a period of time. So Saturn isn't something that happens immediately, it's all a long-term goal. So for any goal that's truly worthwhile, we have to use the power of Saturn's discipline, self-control, the self-responsibility for the really worthwhile long-term goals. We seem to be living in an age of instant gratification, but that instant gratification doesn't satisfy people for very long, because most of what we're doing, people are looking at shortcuts, and anything worthwhile relies on doing stuff in a disciplined, consistent way, and it relies on us being prepared to delay gratification in the immediate term to allow a more fulfilling form of gratification in the long run, knowing that we had the courage to take the long road towards a goal, but we're far better people as a result of having that patience to pursue something over the long haul. Because we all get motivation when we first start something, but motivation often wanes, and that's when the real challenge kicks in. That's when we have to tap into Saturn's discipline, patience and perseverance to make sure that the goals that we've set for ourselves will actually manifest, and that we've actually set solid foundations. Because the foundations of something are not secure, then they will just break down, and anything which is not designed for us, is not going to work for us in life, Saturn retrogrades will usually gradually undermine it until that side of things dissolves. It may mean that we have to face endings of various kinds, but if we embrace the process, feel whatever emotions we need to acknowledge that something that we've been used to is coming to an end, but be grateful that something new will form. Because this is all like stages of when caterpillars and chrysalis undergo metamorphosis towards becoming a butterfly. If we don't actually do the work though, we will not emerge at the other end with wings when Saturn retrograde finally finishes in August and we start seeing the fruits of the work we've done. All this energy is internalised to show us what are the consequences of the beliefs and attitudes that we have at the moment, to show us that there is actually another way. There is a more empowered approach with beliefs, but we do have to be responsible for these beliefs and make sure that we engage in actions that are not just going to benefit us at the expense of others, but are actually aligned with karmic laws, so that we're acting in service to other people. And when we provide a service and we're giving of ourselves to others out of love, that's when we start receiving. If we're doing stuff to try and manipulate perceptions of us, it ain't going to work. It has to be honest. It has to be based on loving service. Otherwise, things are just not going to survive in the long run. Anything based on lies or deceit is in the process of crumbling these days. That's just the way it is. The karmic laws are speeding up through some of the alliance we have, and if we really want anything to survive now, we have to make sure that we listen to the laws that Saturn is teaching us, and we follow them, not just in theory, but we actually implement them in our lives, so that everything that we do is honest and truthful, will benefit other people, not just ourselves. And then Saturn will become a true ally, where he shows us how to better manifest things, as opposed to teaching us where we're doing things wrong. Because that's what Saturn can be for us. It can be a great manifester, but only if we're prepared to take responsibility for our own potential and raise that potential to the highest we can, in order to accept the necessary power required to do it in a responsible way. Now, I know that's a lot of information and it's quite a serious topic, but I hope that's a useful guide of what will happen, or what we can expect the themes to be during the Saturn retrograde. And I hope it is a chance for you to learn a lot about yourself, learn about where your beliefs are holding back, and embrace a more empowered approach to your life. It's going to bring you long-lasting joy and freedom in the long run. That is the gift of Sagittarius, but only through harnessing responsibility that Saturn is reminding us of can this freedom be achieved. So take care, and may this retrograde bring many blessings for you in the long run.